pages here and there. That's kind of the best way sometimes to get it done. But that said, right now I'm going to talk about compare and contrast. I assume that a lot of you probably have experience with doing this kind of essay before. Essentially all that a compare and contrast really is when you take two topics generally and you just sort of say, well, what are their similarities and differences? And specifically with a compare and contrast essay, you want to have a purpose, right? The essay is not just a list of, hey, here's something that's similar and here's something that's different. That's not generally very interesting. So as you go into this essay, I want you to think about purpose. You can either express, inform, or persuade. And so again, just kind of think about what is your purpose once you choose your topic. Do you want to express your ideas about two subjects? In this particular lecture, I'm just going to be using McDonald's and In-N-Out as kind of a practice way to look at two topics, although this is not a choice for your actual essay. As I mentioned, we will be writing about the novel. But just again, for practice, a lot of people have experience with both fast food restaurants. So again, just kind of looking at what are our experiences at McDonald's and at In-N-Out. You might want to inform your readers, right? Maybe that's your purpose of your essay. If you happen to be writing about McDonald's and In-N-Out, maybe your target audience are people who've never been there before. And maybe you just want to sort of set them up for what to expect when they go to those restaurants and how to order and maybe what to order. Or finally, with the purpose of the compare and contrast, you can persuade your readers. Maybe that one place is superior over the other. In my past experience, students inevitably vote for In-N-Out as a better fast food place, a better burger joint than McDonald's. But maybe that's not your opinion. Maybe your opinion is actually the opposite. Maybe you feel like McDonald's gives you more bang for your buck, and therefore that makes a better fast food restaurant. So the purpose is entirely up to you once you decide on your specific topic. So subjects that can be compared. When you think about the word compare, I want you to think about similarities. Both of these topics have to have things in common. They also are going to have things that are different about them. If you choose things that are exactly the same, right? And there's no differences, then there's kind of no point in writing about them. Same thing for the opposite side of that, right? If you were to write about two topics that are so completely different that they really don't have any common ground, again, what's the purpose of that? We could choose anything that's that different. There's something actually more interesting in things that share commonalities but also differences. So again, you're going to choose a topic, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit, but you want them to have things that are in common, so things that can reasonably be compared. So again, we're going to make sure that we look for those similarities and differences, and if we were in class right now, we would just briefly come up with a list of sort of similarities and differences. And one really great way of doing that is actually the Venn diagram. All that requires you to do is actually to draw two circles, overlapping circles. You put one topic in one circle and the other topic in the other circle. Where the circles actually overlap, you could write all of their similarities here, and then we could write all of their differences here and all of their differences over here. That said, just take a second if you've visited either of these restaurants before, maybe just think about the things that they share in common. Right off the top, generally most people recognize that both places are fast food. They both serve burgers, fries, and shakes. They both have drive-through. They're both very popular. They both share red and yellow for thematic colors, if you will. In terms of differences, McDonald's has a bigger variety of a menu. They have a breakfast menu. They have desserts, they have salad, they have chicken options. In-N-Out's menu is, although very basic, just sort of burgers, fries, and shakes. There is a whole secret menu for those of you that frequent there enough, and you could think through that really fast and think about maybe what are your favorite secret things to order there. In terms of other differences, what do you notice about maybe the restaurants? What's the difference between the two of them? Sometimes students automatically remember that, hey, McDonald's has Happy Meals, and In-N-Out they'll offer you stickers, but there's no, kids meal per se. Same thing with a play place. Not every McDonald's has a play place, but many of them do. Some of them offer Wi-Fi. I don't think I've seen that at In-N-Out yet. So again, maybe just thinking about restaurants. Oops, don't pay attention to that. Okay, so we want to make sure that our essays spark the reader's interest. We want it to make sure that it's more than just a list of similarities and a list of differences. And that main point that we decide we're going to make can be part of our thesis. And this is really important when you're thinking about the outline this week, is what is the point of your essay? If you were to choose two characters to compare and to contrast, let's say, for example, Mayor and Maribel, what is the point in writing about them? How are they similar and how are they different? And you might say, Maribel has a brain injury and that limits her speech, but maybe they find commonality. Well, if I was writing the essay, I might talk about their personalities. I might talk about the way that they deal with conflict. Maribel seems to shut down, whereas Mayor can stand up for himself, and we've seen that a couple of times now. We've seen that with Garrett Miller. We'll see it again with Quisqueya and with his parents. And I believe even with Enrique, like he's willing to sort of stand up for himself. And so maybe the point of my essay, again, if I were to choose to write about those two people, is that I might actually make an argument that these two people are actually in love, that they share enough common things between them that they could be in love, or at least maybe good friends in that way. So the evidence is in the details. So again, you are going to have to use really specific pieces of evidence to help develop your points, right? To help prove your point and to show how your thesis is the correct one. Everybody's essay is going to have a different number of points that are going to be made, and it's going to vary by topic. So again, it just kind of depends on what you pick in order to pick those topics that you're going to talk about. So each point has to be fully explained, well described, and again, you're going to use evidence from the book to support whatever point you're trying to make, if you're trying to make it about a particular character. The hardest thing, I think, with the compare and contrast, and actually it's maybe not that hard once you kind of break it down, it's just the organization. You're going to have two choices here with organizational strategy. You can pick between either of these, and you'll pick based on, well, what's going to serve your essay better. You can have your choice between block by block or point by point. And so a block pattern is really going to organize the essay into two chunks, into two blocks essentially. The first half of the essay, which you see right here, is going to be all about In-N-Out. Oops, back up there. And the second block is going to be all about McDonald's. Now, in our brief brainstorm, if we were in class and we were able to go back and forth and make a list of all those similarities and differences between McDonald's and In-N-Out, we might have come up with three prevailing topics here. One might be menu, right? We could see that there's similarities and there's differences in the menu. Food quality, right? We might be able to talk about the differences between McDonald's frozen quality and In-N-Out's fresh approach to food. We also might talk about restaurant, maybe the atmosphere itself. And so again, we are going to make sure that we organize these things fairly by talking about the same points, okay? So what I'm going to do in the block by block pattern is, after my introduction, I might have three separate paragraphs here about these points: menu, food quality, and restaurant, all about In-N-Out. Again, that creates the first half of the essay, that the whole block is about In-N-Out. Then later, I'm going to transition to talk only about McDonald's, again, in the same order: menu, food quality, and then the restaurant, but again, only about McDonald's. However, The hard part about block by block is you don't want these two pieces of information to exist in a vacuum, meaning that you don't just want to talk about In-N-Out and then just talk about McDonald's and then write a conclusion, say peace out reader. What you really want to do is in the back half of this essay is remind the reader how these things are tied together. Is the menu a little bit similar and a little bit different? Is the food quality, again, a little bit similar or a little bit different? And you're going to make sure that you kind of compare and contrast that, the restaurant atmosphere here. So that way we are doing the work of actually bringing those two subjects together. We're just not going to do it until the second half of the essay right here. Now, the more frequent pattern that my students use is generally the point by point. So again, it's taking these same two topics, In-N-Out and McDonald's, the same subjects, menu, food quality, and restaurant, but this time we're going to organize them a little bit different. We're going to organize them by points. That's why it's called point by point. Point 1 is all about the menu. In the first half of this paragraph, or body paragraph, we might talk only about In-N-Out's menu. Then we will talk about McDonald's menu, but we're only sticking to the menu. And again, this could be in one paragraph, or if it's a really big paragraph, we actually might want to split it into two, although this would still be considered the body paragraph, even if there's two paragraphs or that two paragraphs within that point. Then we'll move on to point 2, which is all about food quality. Again, we would stay in the same order. You would want to make sure that you stay in the same order because what happens generally is this helps a reader organize your information. If your information is coming at the reader in a very logical manner, meaning that, hey, here's my topic sentence, I'm talking all about In-N-Out, here's some examples, transition to McDonald's, talk all about McDonald's food quality, right? That's an order that the reader can anticipate. If you have ever struggled with structure of an essay, this is actually a great place and a great essay pattern to practice because I'm giving you those organizational strategies, either block by block or point by point. And then again, in the final point here is all about the restaurant. First we talk about In-N-Out, then we talk all about McDonald's. So you have your choice. So that's just kind of a brief overview of compare and contrast. You're going to be reading more about that in your textbook this week. And then next week you'll actually be reading some sample essays and